to this lunchtime live. Well, wherever you are. It may not be lunchtime where you are. It could be another time of day. But do let me know where you are in the world and what time it is. Well, you don't have to let me know what time it is. let me know what time of day it is-ish. Let me know how your weather is. We have to have some trivial chit-chat, I think, before we go in. And talking about the weather, of course, is a great way to to get started. Here again in the UK, we've got blue sky. We're all a little bit confused. Well, if you're in the UK, you'll know how confusing it is when we have sunshine every day, because we kind of don't get it, do we? Does anybody else find it a little bit difficult to work? Like, I don't really want to do any work. I want to sit in the garden. And I think because when it sunshines here, we think it's holiday time, don't we? Sunny and humid in Florida. Oh, the birds, yeah. Hopefully you can hear the birds in the background. Good morning, Melissa. How lovely to have you today. Lovely to have you here. I'm so happy you've joined me. Wonderful. So please do say hello in the comments if you'd like to. It's always good to hear from somebody. Thank you, Melissa, for starting the ball rolling. You'll know because you're here and you've kind of found me on Insight Timer. I'd love to know how you found me today, because I think the lives show up on the home screen, don't they? So maybe you found me that way. Maybe you already follow me. If you already follow me, that's great. If you're new here, please do let me know. Or let me know if you're a repeat offender, as they're now being known. People who come back for more of Clare's stuff are now called repeat offenders, just because it came out of my mouth one day, and we've stuck with it, I think. So I'm known as the Queen of Calm, because, to be fair, most of the time I am these days. But it took me a really long time to get there. Well, not a really long time, to be fair, but I spent a long time trying to get there. I spent a long time doing lots of different things, meditation and gratitude journals and all sorts of different tools and techniques and self-development books. So if you feel like you're on a self-development hamster wheel that you're not really sure how to get off of, then you are in the right place. And Melissa, I hope you see on this journey that you don't have to work. It's what I share is something called the 3 principles, which is a fundamental principle-based understanding of how our human experience is created. And I can honestly say that since I came across this understanding, I have stopped doing. I've stopped working at it. I've stopped doing all the things I used to do to try and make myself feel calm. They've all fallen away. And so I'm really glad to see, Melissa, that you are here and you're open to hear something new. And that's really all I invite here, is for you to be open and curious. So I have a lot of content on here. So and it's all from a 3 principles perspective. So it's the 3 principles and their implications that I talk about. So the 3 principles is a really simple understanding of how the mind works, which is it says that when these 3 principles come together, that's why we experience what we experience, why we feel the way we feel, why we behave the way we behave. It explains everything about the human experience, really. The 3 principles are thought, which I'm sure you understand, because you'll have a few of those going on. But really, like, understanding that thoughts and feelings are connected, are the 2 halves of the same energy. Consciousness, that it is the reason why we experience life and everything in it is because we are conscious, because we are conscious beings. And the 3rd principle is mind, or universal intelligence, universal mind, universal intelligence, that which is powering everything in life. Everything. Now, when you hear me talk about this understanding, you will very rarely hear me say, well, this is how thought works, and this is how consciousness is involved in this. But what you will hear is, when I'm talking about thought, you will hear me talk about thoughts and thinking. When I'm talking about consciousness, you'll hear me talk about awareness, about curiosity, about noticing, those kind of things. And when I'm talking about universal mind, you will hear me talk about energy, universe, aliveness, God, the energy of life, potential, human potential. I think that's part of that too. There's a beautiful quote by Jack Pransky, which I just went for a coffee with someone this morning, and I shared this quote, and he absolutely loved it. This guy, it's all we are is peace, love, and wisdom, and the ability to create the illusion that we are not, which is a quote by Jack Pransky. Did I say that? Anyway. And that's it. It's seeing that the suffering that we are, that's being created through us, is created through these three principles, but really by the misunderstanding that our experience is being created any other way but via these three principles. So if you are new here, welcome. It's lovely to have you here. Please do let me know in the comments if you're new. Let me know where in the world you are. Let me know what's brought you here. Like why have you chosen this session today? It's good to understand that, really. The quote: all we are is peace, love and wisdom, and the ability to create the illusion that we are not. Hello Laura, welcome, and you're in Louisiana. Do you know Louisiana is just a beautiful place name, isn't it? It's lovely. Oh, Mize, I'm really sorry to hear that. Well, I hope you're in the right place to hear something different. Oh, that's lovely, Laura. Thank you. On my when I'm on LinkedIn, do you listen to me on LinkedIn on a morning? You listen to me. Do you listen to my other sessions on here, Laura? Where do you listen to me? On here? On Insight Timer? Yeah. So if you're new here and you don't already follow me, you too could start your day with Laura listening to me. What a lovely way to start the day. I too, Laura, listen to somebody sharing this understanding most mornings. I find it's always nice. There's always a new insight, a new way of looking at things. It's really, really, really wonderful. And this understanding has changed my life beyond recognition, really. I don't recognise me much anymore compared to what I was like before, and it's probably worth noting, if you're new here, that I actually burnt out in 2015. I was so stressed that I burnt out and wasn't able to work for a year. So I've done the other end of the spectrum. I've been in a very stressed out place to the point of burnt out. So I kind of know what it's like. So I really feel for you if you're not feeling okay at the moment. So if you are new here, please do hop onto my bio and follow me. There's a link there if you want to find out a little bit more about me, if you want to arrange to talk to me. All of that is available on the link that's on my bio. And each month what I'm doing is I'm exploring a different theme and creating a course to go with that. So I have 2 courses already available. Calm, Balance and Clarity with Ease. And revealing your full potential with the 3 principles. We will. Hopefully, what I share today, Melissa, is helpful if you're feeling anxious. Really, it's not going to. The aim is not to give you a tool to get rid of anxiety. The aim is for you to understand the anxiety. From this perspective of the 3 principles, so that it doesn't seem as problematic as it previously did. So, Melissa, I hope you find this helpful. I really do. And do reach out. You know, it's not nice to wake up in the middle of the night with anxiety, and I suffered with sleep anxiety for quite a while when I was in the run-up to burning out, so I can really relate to feeling like that. Bless you. Excuse me. So this month's theme, which connects to the course Revealing Your Full Potential with the 3 Principles, is about revealing your potential, and we've explored all sorts of subjects. Now, I've not scheduled in my lives for next week. I need to look at my diary and work out how that's going to work. I do between 3 and 5 lives a week, depending on what's going on in the rest of my life. And the of the subjects I've got brewing over the next week or so, I'm going to look at imposter syndrome, because I think that's absolutely fundamental. I don't necessarily like these labels we give these things, but I think it's helpful in terms of helping you understand what I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk about breaking free from fear. So Melissa, you might find that one helpful. If you don't catch them live, I do kind of screen record them and put them on my YouTube channel, and there's a playlist on that link on my bio. You can check those out. The other subjects I'm going to explore: the creative spark, navigating change with ease, and resilient relationships. So those are the subjects that I've got coming up. What I love about being here on Insight Timer is just seeing already the love that you're sharing with each other, and how supportive you are with each other. It's so nice. All of us are struggling with something, and being in this space is so lovely because it's so supportive and so loving. So I love Insight Timer. It's my main place that I hang out now in terms of places to be and share my content. And so if today you find any of this helpful, if you feel inclined to do so, I'd be really grateful if you are able to make a donation. For me, those donations are supporting the idea that this is helpful content to have on Insight Timer, and I've submitted a suggestion to Insight Timer to have the 3 principles listed as one of their modalities, because when I go to upload content or upload a live or a course or whatever, there's no option to tick this is a 3 principles course, and I would love that to happen, because for me this is the understanding that is missing from so many people's lives, particularly, and I think I've got a few people here like that today, if you've been stuck on the self-development hamster wheel for a while, kind of going round and round, trying more and more different things, feeling more and more broken as a result, feeling a bit lost maybe, that they're the kind of people I love to work with, people who have tried everything. Most of the conversations I have with people these days are people who've tried everything, and they've been round and round and round in circles trying to feel better. And I think on Insight Timer we're together in that, aren't we? A lot of the time, that we've all tried something. I mean, let me know in the comments if you've tried things. Yes, Laura, just bear with me. I'm going to cough first. I had this ginger beer earlier, and it was really, really firing. I'm sure it keeps like tickling up in my throat. So Laura, just to recap, the 3 principles are thought, consciousness, the fact that we are conscious as human beings, aware, and universal mind. So the universal intelligence or energy of life, as you might call it. Now, there is a bit of a delay at the moment with Insight Timer approving tracks. Although what seems to have happened is that some of my older tracks that I submitted ages ago have got lost in the system and haven't been approved, whereas some that I submitted like 2 days ago have already been approved. So I have given them a nudge and asked if they can go and approve these older ones, because one of the tracks I created especially to accompany the lives is called What Are the 3 Principles and Why Do They Bring More Ease to Life? And that one I created it must be 2 weeks ago now, and it's like stuck in the system. However, if you go to the link in my bio, There is a video there at the top. I think it says welcome on it, and that one does tell a little bit of my story and tells you a little bit more about the three principles. So I definitely recommend going and listening to that. But there's a similar one that's supposed to be on Insight Timer now, but it's still stuck in the approval system. So I have given them a nudge, so fingers crossed it will materialise. So today we're going to talk about compassion. The full title is Cultivate Compassion, Potential from Kindness and Connection. And I really want to talk about hello Claudia. Lynn, that's a lovely suggestion. I like a yoga nidra actually. If I'm going to have a nap, I love a yoga nidra. I do love one. There's one I listen to on. I've not found one on here. Probably should have a look actually. But I've got one on YouTube that I listen to. They are really nice. I think it's worth seeing sleep issues as a consequence of something else, though. Like, it's useful to look in this direction towards generally life being more full of ease, generally life being more calm, generally us being less stressed out and anxious, and sleep being something that will sort itself out through that process of naturally connecting back to who we really are. Like I can honestly say I struggled with sleep for decades. So my children are in their 20s, and I would say that probably from before they were born, I had issues with sleep. I mean, which you kind of expect when you've got babies that are waking up all night. But mine, that once they were old enough and were sleeping, I still never got quite back into sleep. And that's probably because I was stressed most of the time for that 20 years, literally. And so wasn't sleeping well as a consequence of that, because I had a lot going on. I had a very busy life, full-time job, 2 small children. I won't talk too loudly about my ex-husband because he does live next door and the door's open. Oh, bless you, Claudia. I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh gosh, me too, Melissa. If my brain wakes up enough in the night still now to think it needs to start busying, it can start busying. This morning I woke up at 4 and I just 4:30, something like that, and I got up and excuse me, and I got up and just started working. Which is fine, because I know that I'll sleep better again tonight. I think the stories around sleep are more detrimental than anything else. So we're not going to focus too much on sleep today, but sleep is an issue that I would talk to somebody about on one of my I do introductory 3 hours of coaching to explore things that people have got going on, and I have nothing on those. I will tell you about working with me going forward, but I don't. If we carry on working together, wonderful. If we don't, we don't. So that link is available on the link in my bio as well. So compassion. So I mean, first of all, what is it? What is compassion? I have probably a different understanding of compassion than maybe everybody else. You know what I'm going to just do? I'm just going to actually, I'm going to research. I'm going to look up on Google what Google says compassion is, because I always think it's fun to see what the actual definitions of words are. Here we go. The dictionary on the internet. Sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. Interesting. So, I'm not sure I kind of like that definition of compassion. Yeah, being understanding is much more preferable to me, because I think sympathy is different to compassion. I think sympathy can be a bit, oh, poor you, not almost from a place of somebody being better than us. or us being better than them, us being in a better place than them. It's a poor you kind of thing. So I'm not sure about sympathetic pity. Does anybody else like sympathetic pity? I've just realised I've got my headphones in from my last client and I don't need them in. I can hear the birds now. That's much nicer. Yeah, so I'm not sure about that. Because for me, there's something really simple that underpins compassion, and that is, I've just realised actually that I'm probably talking quieter now because I've taken my headphones out, and I was probably shouting before because I had my headphones in. There's nothing in the headphones, it's just the headphones were in my ears, blocking my ears. How funny. Like for me, compassion is underpinned by a really simple truth, something that is an implication of the three principles, and it's that human beings are all the same in so many ways, in that we all think, we all feel, we all have these three principles at play: thought, mind and consciousness. We're all creating our experience in exactly the same way, only we all have a different flavour of thinking. So the reason we do what we do is exactly the same for everybody. It depends on our level of consciousness, awareness, how much we believe our own thinking, our relationship with our thinking, our relationship with where we think our feelings are coming from. All of those things kind of come together, and then people do what they do. They behave how they behave, they act how they act. The behaviour is the output of this system that we can understand through the three principles. I do think empathy. Yeah, empathy is really interesting because I remember we used to teach empathy at school. Not when I was at school. When I was a teacher, we did some work around empathy with children, trying to get them to understand and to try and be in somebody else's shoes. But the only thing with that is that we can't really ever be in somebody else's shoes. If we're making up how they're feeling, what they're thinking, we're making it up. That's our thinking, it's not theirs. And that's why I like compassion a bit better. Understanding I absolutely love. No, you can't, Claudia. You can't be in somebody else's head. Yeah, there is a fine balance between, because I think pity can be a bit condescending or a bit like superior. Poor you. I'm not like you. I'm kind of better, and I'm looking down on you and feeling sorry for you. Understanding and not going down with them. I like that too. So for me, compassion comes from understanding this concept of separate realities. And that is that all of us human beings are creating our experience in exactly the same way through the three principles, but we all have a different flavour of thinking. So we all do different things, we all behave differently, because we all say different things, we all see the world in a different way. And that the bit that we see of other people, isn't it? We see their behaviour. That's the output. That's what we see. And we when we understand their cycle, so another thing that goes alongside the separate realities is psychological innocence. Not innocence, not saying that it's okay to be horrible to other people or do mean things or do violent things or whatever else in this world we tend to say is not okay. It's not saying those things are okay. It's not saying those people are innocent. It's about saying that they are psychologically innocent, and that means that if we were in their position with their thinking, we would do exactly the same as them. We would. But we're not, are we? we're not in the same place as them. We don't have the same thinking. We all have our own unique way of thinking. And for me, compassion is really grounded when we can kind of begin to say that about more and more people who we know. Particularly if we have in our world people who dramatically don't think the same way as us. So I personally have people in my life who I wouldn't choose to have in my life, but the circumstances mean that they are in my life, because there's other people involved who I do care about, and I fundamentally think so differently to these people, this person, that one person in particular, but I can see that she's got very different thinking to me, and that she believes her thinking. And in the moment when she does things, like things that seem to be coming towards me and my fiance, I can more and more now see that she couldn't be doing anything else. We think there's a chooser doing choosing, and there isn't. So I'm going to go on a little bit more about this in a minute. I just want to go to the comments and see, because Claudia's been sharing lots. Yeah, absolutely, Claudia. If with empathy, which is marketed, I'd say empathy's probably got very much better PR and marketing than compassion has. We're told to be empathetic, aren't we? But if to be empathetic you have to be in somebody else's shoes, then you can't do that, because you can't know what somebody else's experience is. And maybe what we're really talking about, Claudia, and everybody else, of course, is love. That we can, and when we're feeling compassionate, when we see somebody else's psychological innocence, we can just come from a place of love. I'm not quite there with the people who I deem are tricky in my life, but I'm getting better at it. Yeah, I like that, respecting and honouring the other person's experience and being kind, holding space if you can. I've been speaking to some clients this week who are having trouble with people in their lives, and what's been really cool is we've been talking about, yes, this person is doing this thing that you don't like and you don't think is okay, or you don't think it's right in some way, but what could you get curious about and talk to them about their view of the world, or try to understand it better, actually have a conversation. Don't try and make it up and just think you're being empathetic by making up a story about how they're feeling, but really get I was going to say get down and dirty, but get curious about what's going on. And the person in my life who I've been talking about, I've more than once discussed with my fiance, sitting down with her and asking some really curious questions about how she sees the world. Because from our perspective, some of her behaviour is so bizarre. Really, really bizarre. We just don't understand it at all. So it's really, really interesting. Not easy conversations, no. I think the curiosity is great, but you do need to go into those conversations from a place of calm, from a place of feeling settled in yourself, from the nice feeling, as Sydney Banks would say. Well, interestingly, when you say we don't have the same soul, you see, I would kind of, my slightly different take on that, Claudia, would be that we are all the same soul. We are all the same energy. We're one spiritual entity having 7.8 billion human experiences. And the thing that separates us is thought. Our flavour of thinking is what separates us from each other. Yeah, I would say so, Lynn. That's beautifully put, actually. Yeah, I think it's back to this. I think I shared this quote yesterday. Have I shared it already? Anyway, Jack Pransky's quote: "All we are is peace, love, and wisdom, and the ability to create the illusion that we are not." And when we are in a place of compassion, when we're seeing the psychological innocence of everybody else, we are in our hearts. And we are looking towards, we may not get there, we're looking towards love. Compassion is, heart-centered. It's love. It's connected to love. So let's just explore in a minute. Actually, let's explore how that connects to revealing our potential. But before we do that, I'm just going to say hello to all the people who've come in fairly recently. I've just noticed there's quite a lot more people here. Got little floating heads along the bottom. I like it when the little heads start bobbing up and down. It's the little things that amuse me. So it's great to see there's a lot more people who've come in. Welcome. Please do say hi. Let me know if you're new. I was going to say let me know if you're new or you're old. If you're new or you're a regular or otherwise known as a repeat offender, because that's what we've started saying. You're here to learn about compassion, about cultivating compassion. Hi, Nick. Oh, thank you for following me. Thank you so much. That's lovely. Thank you for letting me know. You're the first one who's ever let me know that they followed me, so that's really nice. Hi, Nick, and welcome. So we're looking at cultivating compassion and how our potential can come from that kindness and connection, because like this area I'm exploring this month is revealing your potential. So I've got all the lives, I've got lots of tracks going on at the moment, I've got some premium tracks now, some meditations and stuff, and this monthly theme is potential. It's, how do we reveal our true potential, because that's what I do. I'm a human potential catalyst. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you so much. Hope to see you again. Hi, Christina from Virginia Beach. Thank you so much, Christina. Welcome. Nice to see some new people. So we're exploring this area of potential. I've got a course called Revealing Your Full Potential with the 3 Principles. If you go on and follow me, you'll be able to see that course. And it really does, it kind of brings together everything we've been exploring this month into a course to kind of go through. And the great thing about the course is you can engage in a bit of a chat with me on there and ask me questions and stuff, so which you can do in the lives, but it's a little bit easier in the course because it's slowed down a little bit. I am a regular teacher on Insight Timer. Next week I'm going to be exploring all sorts of things. I've got a little list here. I've not scheduled them yet, but imposter syndrome, breaking free from fear, the creative spark we're going to look at, and we're going to look at navigating change with ease, and we're going to look at resilient relationships. We might not do all of those next week because I've got to fit them round obviously the rest of my life. So it'll be, you do 3 to 5 lives a week, and I try to do them at different times. To suit different time zones and things, and if you do find this content helpful, that's great. Please follow me, but either way, find out about the 3 principles. I am on a mission to share the 3 principles as much as I can on Insight Timer, because I do feel that you're a very receptive bunch of people, a very curious and spiritually aware bunch of people who really, could get something out of this understanding and have a better experience of life as a result of it. And if you do find this content helpful, I'm always grateful for donations to support me in getting Insight Timer to take on the 3 principles a little more. I'm kind of communicating with them about having it be a modality on the platform, because it isn't at the moment. So when I share my tracks, I have to kind of choose something that doesn't quite fit, but I want to be able to select this is a 3 principles teaching, so that then you can more easily find the 3 principles content. And I am speaking to other 3 principles teachers and encouraging them to come on here as well, so we so that there's a kind of immersion for you available, because you might like my strange northern accent from Yorkshire, And you might like my dodgy humour and my occasional crying, or you might not. And if you don't, then find another 3 Principles teacher to listen to, because it's such a life-changing understanding. If you want to find out more about 3 Principles, you can click on the link in my bio as well, and there's a bit more about that there. So we've talked a little bit about compassion, about what it is, about psychological innocence, about seeing separate realities, and these are all implications of the 3 Principles understanding. But then what's that got to do with us revealing our potential? You might be thinking, what a strange subject combination this is, but actually it's vital. So one of the things I see about compassion is that when we're not in a place of compassion, how does it feel? Like, answers in the comments if you fancy, but what does it feel like? If you're not in a place of compassion about another person and their behaviour, what does it feel like? Well, it feels awful, doesn't it? It can make you really busy-minded. I was talking to a client earlier this week about the behaviour of somebody, and she was getting really caught up in the story of why this person was doing what they were doing, and she wanted to understand the why, because she thought the person, to be fair, the behaviour she was describing I thought was a little bit interesting as well, but she was really caught up in, wow, well, is it because of this, is it because of that, is it because of that? She was really caught up in the story. She wasn't feeling very compassionate. She just thought this person was wrong, and was doing the wrong thing and should know better. How can somebody behave like that? How can somebody think in a way that has them behave like that? All those kind of things, which we're all familiar with, aren't we, in some way, shape or form, when we look at other people's behaviour. So when we're not in a place of compassion, we've got a lot more noise in our system. We have more interference. So the equation that I work with when I work with people is that performance equals potential minus interference. So when we're looking at compassion, if we're not in a place of compassion, we're not in a place of love, and we are love, peace, wisdom, and of course the ability to create the illusion that we're not. That's the third time I've said that. I've said that quote a lot recently. Actually, it's a great quote. And when we're not in a place of compassion, we're in the interference. We're in a lot of noisy thinking about the other person, aren't we? We're upset. Excuse me. We're angry. We're frustrated, perhaps. Now, you as a human being are not truly connected to your potential when you are in that place. You're in interference. There's a lot of interference. So if you think about your potential, it's getting covered over by the interference, by not being in a place of compassion. Now, I've always said anyway that I think compassion is a form of self-love, because when you're in a place of compassion, you're in a place of love, and you're in a nice feeling, and therefore it's good for you. It's not just good for, to be fair, the other people, it doesn't really have much impact on them most of the time, because most of the time when we're not in a place of compassion, we're not even telling the other person. We're just thinking about them, aren't we, and feeling dreadful and being frustrated and angry, and most of us are quite civilised, so we don't tend to say something to the other person. We just carry on being upset, and rant. I'm a ranter when I have my moments, and excuse me. Oh dear, I woke up far too early this morning. But I'll live. So we're not in this nice feeling, and really, like Sydney Banks, the originator of the 3 Principles, says, that follow the nice feeling. And know that when you're not in a nice feeling, you're being guided to. You're being guided to let you know that your state of mind is off. And when we've got an off state of mind, it's not good for us, is it? We can't think so. I mean, have you ever had that thing where you get really upset with somebody and then you can't get any work done? Has anybody had that? Let me know in the comments if you've experienced that, where, you know, you get so wound up about somebody else's behaviour and you get so upset that you can't, like, you can't think straight, can you? Can't get anything done. There's no creative juices flowing. You might be able to do something ridiculous like a bit of email. Thank you, Danielle. But you can't get clarity. You can't concentrate. You're just in such a low mood that it's awful. So you can see, can't you, how if we're upset about somebody else's behaviour, we're not compassionate, then it's covering over our potential, because that potential to be creative is always there. And thank you for your yeses, Melissa, Danielle, and Marie. That's lovely. It's lovely that I'm not on my own. Fessing up. I'm confessing all my sins here. I'm glad you're joining me. You know, because me too. I definitely used to find that if I was upset with somebody else's behaviour, and still now, that I was so sorry. I'm just like the queen of super yawning today. That then I wouldn't be able to concentrate or do anything. So then you can see that you cover your potential to be creative, your potential to do things, your potential to get things done, which is all infinite, really, is all like covered over with this mucky thinking. And that's goes back to, you know, the model of humans, human psychology that I share, and that is the innate well-being, creativity, you know, abundance, resilience, confidence, whatever else, peace, love and wisdom, of course. They're all like a diamond, and then our thinking's this mucky, horrible stuff that a lot of which is just habitual, ridiculous stuff, is covering over. So compassion for others really does release us from a whole lot of thinking. Like, that's actually a really cool way to put it. It just releases us from a whole lot of thinking. A whole lot of thinking that's in the way. Hugely in the way. And when that starts to fall away, because we're in this place of understanding separate realities, understanding psychological innocence, then there waiting for us is our unique infinite potential. And the other thing that, you know, when we think about our potential as human beings, we kind of need each other, don't we? We do, you know, we can do a lot on our own, you know, we're pretty amazing, but we're not we're not an island, as they say, and we need to be with other people. We need that connection as human beings. We feel better when we're kind. We feel better when we're connected. So still we can see that always to be looking towards compassion, looking towards understanding others, looking towards seeing psychological innocence is going to put us in a nice feeling. And I'm not saying at all chase a nice feeling. What I am saying is that when we have awareness of when we're not in a nice feeling, it will increasingly make sense to move away from that. Now, this some of you have seen the ruler thing, but I don't think you can ever see the ruler thing enough times. Who's seen the ruler thing before, and who's new to the ruler thing? So, you know, if I'm in a place of suffering, like I'm suffering now, I'm suffering my headache. It's really awful and I can't get rid of it. It's not too bad actually because my hair's quite bouncy today. But, you know, I'm hitting myself on the head. I'm standing here, I'm sitting here saying, can't get rid of my headache. I've tried everything. I'm drinking loads of water. I'm not drinking caffeine. You know, I've got lavender oil in my diffuser. I'm going for walks and I'm sleeping well and everything. And I can't get rid of my headache. And of course, you're going to tell me to stop it with the ruler. Claire, stop hitting yourself on the head with the ruler. And then very quickly my headache will go, because really the headache is being caused by me, and I didn't have the awareness. Couldn't see that I was hitting myself on the head with a ruler for some bizarre reason. But you know what I mean. Let's say I didn't know I was doing this. And then I stop, because I've been made aware of... Thanks, peace. I'll stop it. I've been made aware that my suffering, how my suffering is being created. Hello, cause of my suffering. Ruler, hitting head, cause of suffering. Now, the reason that we the reason we don't stop with our thinking is because we don't know it's the thinking. Like when we're in a place of non-compassion towards somebody else, we think it's them that's making us feel bad, don't we? So like it makes sense to rant, it makes sense to get upset with them, it makes sense to distance ourselves from them, blah blah, whatever, feel frustrated. That all makes sense if we think it's the other person creating our feelings. But what we're talking about here, it's called the three principles, but it's often known as the inside out understanding. Your feelings are created inside you, and they are created from this energy of life, consciousness and thought working together. And it is the direction of our thinking that takes us into feeling bad. So when we come to compassion, that is like putting the ruler down and going, actually, when I think bad thoughts about other people, I feel rubbish. It's not the other people and their behaviour, it just never is that. People do not make you feel anything. So it makes sense to stop it. It really does make sense to stop it. And that made me laugh, peace, because of course, I'm an ex-teacher too. Do you remember in the 80s, I don't know who's from the 70s and 80s, but we had the shatterproof rulers that you could break if you bent them enough times backwards and forwards. Do you remember those? But this is a very good... In fact, I have to be honest with you, I think I might have actually stolen this from a school I worked with. It probably just ended up in my work bag and came home, and then when I left work, it never went back. In fact, what probably happened was that when I left work, I wasn't there for a year, and then when I finally resigned, I was going in to pack up my office and get all my personal belongings and stuff, and somebody else had actually done it for me. And when I got home, there was loads of stuff that didn't belong to me. And I didn't have the energy or the motivation to take it back at that time. But please understand my psychological innocence. It made sense at the time. I did not have the energy to go back to... I wanted to be out of there. I didn't have the energy to go and take the stuff back. The wooden one's nice. I think it's a good one, this, for that demonstration. So when we start to see how our experience is being created, when we kind of go, oh, yeah, okay, when I go on a ranty train of thought about somebody else's behaviour, I get stirred up, I feel bad, I can't concentrate, it's not good for me. At the timepiece it did feel uncomfortable, but I kind of am in a different headspace now, and I really get that it'd been a year and they needed to use the office and my stuff was in the way, so they had packaged it up, initially probably temporarily. I think you're right, Jeff. We've got a meter rule, actually. That's really good. We refurbished our motorhome bathroom last summer, and we needed a big meter rule, big metal meter rule. And luckily, I'm not hitting myself on the head with that, because somebody'd have to call an ambulance, probably knock myself out with it, because it's pretty sharp on the edges. So what we're looking at here is that without that busy-mindedness caused by our lack of compassion for others, we can get loads more done. We can get really creative and busy, and create the life of our dreams, reveal our potential, live to our potential, live to what our capacity is. Thank you, Peace. You give me a laugh too, Peace. Always. Like when you said, "Stop it with the ruler." So we reveal our potential when we're in a place of compassion, because we're in a nice feeling, and our potential is available when we're in a nice feeling. Now, the final thing I want to quickly say about compassion is to do with self-compassion. So what I find with a lot of my clients is that they can start to see this with other people, and they can kind of go, oh yeah, I understand, those people are doing the best they can. But when it comes to themselves, they find it exceptionally hard. A lot harder. So they will beat themselves up. They will feel guilty. They will have very high expectations of themselves. They will, I think, find particularly, no offence to the men in the room, but the women that I work with, I mostly do work with women, will really see that they're supposed to be doing everything, and when they're not doing everything, they feel terrible and they're not very compassionate towards themselves. And I actually I'm probably going to I might just do a quick live somewhere else, but I really do want to talk to, I think what happened was that at some point when women started to, come out of the house and go to work, and equality started to become a possibility, at some point somebody said to women, you can do anything, and women heard, you can do everything. And that is what then happened. it's that women then proceeded to think they have to do everything. And I've spoken to 2 clients today who've been caught up in that thing that women should be doing everything. Like, I think we heard the message wrong. I'd love to explore that with you, Jeff, at some point. I should do a session on inner critic, shouldn't I? I don't think I've done one on inner critic. I'm going to write that down. Don't think I've done inner critic. I mean, imposter syndrome and inner critic, they're a bit connected, aren't they? But what's the inner critic and inner critic advocate? Tell me about that, please, and I'll try and come back to it before the end. So self-compassion, it works in exactly the same way, but for some reason many of us cannot see it about ourselves. So we can look at somebody else's behaviour perhaps and go, oh yeah, I understand that they're doing the best they can, they're psychologically innocent, I kind of get that. And then we look at ourselves and we somehow, it's that the self thinks it should be able to control itself, if you see what I mean. Like, do you see what I mean? Am I making sense? That inside us, we think that we should be able to make ourselves be better. And I think the self-development industry has really fed into this idea that we should be able to do better. That all we need to do is do the right tool, the right technique, read the right book, blah, 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 and then we will be better as human beings. That's what will happen. And if we're not there yet, we're not flipping working hard enough at it, and we need to do better. And so even in the 3 principles conversation, what I find is that people get kind of so far on the journey, and then there's a little sticking point where there's a sort of idea of, well, I've been learning this for so many months or whatever, and I've seen it, I see it lots of times, and then I don't. And when I don't, I think I'm failing at the 3 principles. You can't fail at the 3 principles, but I haven't learned it well enough, I'm not doing well enough, and all that kind of thing. And it's the same with all the other bits of self-development as well. Brilliant. That is brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's like trying to change the direction of the Titanic as it heads towards the iceberg, but the tide is, we are changing this. I'm extremely fortunate. I wasn't in my first in my marriage. I have to say this very quietly. I hope you can still hear me because he's next door over the fence and I can hear him. My ex-husband, he lives next door. So I'm very lucky that this time I'm with a man who is probably does more than me in the house. To be fair, he's fantastic. He's actually just more tidy than me. So I'm always intending to move things, but he's moved them before I get to them, or he's tidied them away or cleaned them before I get to them. So long may that continue. So Eloise, we're nearly out of time, Eloise. So in brief, thought, mind and consciousness. But if you want to find out a bit more, please do head over to my profile. There is a link there and there's a video there, because the audio that's supposed to be on here hasn't been approved yet. It's got kind of stuck in it. They've had an issue moving all their tracks over to a new platform or something, which you probably haven't even noticed, but they are in the process of that. And when you're in the back end as a teacher, it's been a bit glitchy recently. So it's like, so Jeff, it's like you've got a prosecutor in your head. Tell me why you're wrong. Oh, bless you. Yeah. Jeff with a rabbit picture. I love a rabbit. I was on a field a few weeks ago. I was actually away working with my fiancé. I was working the motorhome and he was in a race course. And I was just sat. I didn't get much work done, so I sat watching the rabbits, just baby rabbits and mummies and daddy rabbits, I suppose, but babies and parents, and it was lovely. And what I'm hearing from Jeff and Peace there is that that sounds more complicated than it needs to be. So this is what I used to think too, was let's take this negative thinking I've got about anything, about myself, about what I'm doing, or just about anybody or everything, negative, let's call it negative thinking. This is the positive psychology model, which a lot of us have bought into, and trust me, I've been to plenty of positive psychology conferences over the years, and talks and books and etc. So positive psychology says, right, there's a negative thought and that's making you feel bad. Absolutely, that's correct. However, they say then now you've got to swap it for a better thought. Now, what I'm saying is just ignore it. Just have a different relationship with it. See that it's not true. See that it's not helpful. See that it's just a pack of lies. That prosecutor in your head, the inner critic. Definitely going to do a session on that. I can't believe I'm not doing a session. I haven't got one on my list, but it's on my list now because I've just written it down. It's seeing that there's nothing to do about it. Once we understand that the inner critic, as it is labelled, is just thought in the moment. And thought in the moment is just habitual, stuck stuff from what we learned when we were kids, basically. And so we don't need to swap it for something else. We don't need to be having an argument inside our head. So in the past I would have been like, oh, there's a negative thought, let's swap it for a positive one, or what can I do about it, and do I need to have some different affirmations or change my affirmations or do more gratitude work on myself, or endless stuff. Self-development hamster wheel we're talking about here. That's what I did. And then and that was hard work. And so then what used to happen, I found, I don't know what you two find, Jeff and Peace, but then if I had a negative thought, I'd be like, oh God, it's not working. I've not done it right. I've still got negative thoughts. Now, the difference now is that when I have a negative thought, let's call them negative thoughts because I can't think of a better word, but not that any thoughts are negative and positive. But when I have one of those thoughts now, and let's take an inner critical thought, I just go, oh, that's just Claire's way of thinking when she's upset. Like, this is a lovely thing to get curious about, is what does your mind do when it's upset? Like, what's its habit? Many years ago, my habit was to eat chocolate when I was upset. It isn't anymore because I've seen that wasn't particularly helpful. And I don't really know when that stopped, but it just stopped at some point. You don't need to create another persona in your head to challenge the inner critic. That's just more noise. So if we're talking about performance equals potential minus interference, swapping negative thoughts for positive thoughts, or trying to do that, which is an illusion anyway, is just more noise. For me, it's more like, oh, that's just mine. That's just what I do. It's what my mind, not what I do, but what my mind does. When I'm upset, it goes this direction. Sometimes it goes that direction, but none of it's true and none of it's helpful. And the real key, and I'll finish on this, but the key to this is the feeling. If it's feeling off, that's letting you know nothing about the outside world. It's just letting you know about your state of mind. So when we have a horrible thought about ourselves, when we're not compassionate towards ourselves, or we're not compassionate towards somebody else, that's letting us know we've got upset thinking about something. Nothing real, just upset thinking. Unhelpful thinking. I like Peace who says unhelpful thoughts that take us away from our feeling of calm, peace, love and wisdom, and the ability to create the illusion that we're not. With this interference, it's the interference that creates the illusion that we are not peace, love and wisdom. That's it. So, thank you. Yeah, I did used to do all those practices, Peace, but I have to say through this understanding they just didn't make. I don't need to do them anymore. So this is why. If you are on a journey, doing lots of practices, maybe just like, oh God, do I have to do anything else? And you feel like you're on that self-development hamster wheel, then you're in the right place. If you want to get off it, you might want to stay on it. You might love doing a gratitude journal. I did at one point, and then I remember after we came across the 3 principles, Bruce and I used to sit and do it together, my fiance and I. And I remember one night sitting on the sofa, just like doing the gratitude journal, and I just said to him, why are we doing this? Why are we doing it? And he just said, I don't know. And then we stopped and we haven't done it since. And we literally stopped that day. And that was that, which was wonderful. An awful lot of peace came from that. Less to do as well. Always looking to subtractive rather than additive psychology in this conversation. So I hope you found that helpful. Thank you so much. If you have and you're new, please go and follow me. Please explore my other content and my courses. I have 2 courses, Calm, Balance and Clarity with Ease and Revealing Your Full Potential with the 3 Principles. I would love to see you in the courses. A great place to ask me questions. Please check out the link in my bio, which has loads more information about what I'm sharing here. It's known as the 3 Principles. And if you found this at all helpful and you are able to, then I will be, of course, super grateful to receive any donations you're able to give. The donations are really helping me on Insight Timer now to get the 3 principles be more understood by people on Insight Timer, because I just think this is a great space with so many open, curious people that the 3 principles could get known by more people from being on here. So I'd be really, really grateful if you are able to make a donation and support me in that way. Thank you so much. Otherwise, I will hopefully see you again soon. There will be lives next week. I'll hopefully schedule them today. I've got a bit of a full-on day today. Oh, thank you so much, Peace. Yeah, that's nice. Thank you, Peace. And all of you have an absolutely beautiful weekend. Take care, and I'm going to the seaside, so I'm a happy bunny. And I'm going to an African kind of music and food festival thing tomorrow. That should be fun. So thank you so much again. If you are able to make a donation, I'm utterly grateful for that. If not, I'll see you again soon. Enjoy a lovely weekend. Take care.